Hey everyone, my name is Sean and today we're going to be talking about a breaking news update in terms of some new flight restrictions which are going to be affecting everyone's drone flights from January 2024. You might have seen the headlines over the weekend talking about drone operators facing a fine of up to £2,500 for flying within 400 metres of prisons or young offenders institutions in England and Wales. The changes have come about via an amendment to the air navigation order. So we are talking about a change to the headline legislation here. This is not simple guidance or a tweak to the CAA drone code. Before we get into the meat of the story, let me do the YouTuber bit very quickly, if you don't mind. If you are one of my awesome regulars, please hit the like button nice and early. It really does help. And if you're new here, hit subscribe to get more drone related content and news. So what is this actually about? Well, drugs and contraband being smuggled into prisons. At the moment, you face up to 10 years in prison for smuggling items that are deemed contraband behind bars. That's something that already happens. But at the moment, there is some variance in terms of the punishments for a drone operator flying around or over a prison, for instance. Many of the current flight restrictions you see around prisons, the things that you see on Drone Assist, etc., are actually only for helicopters often. Also, some of the restrictions you see on maps around the prisons themselves, so the little boxes drawn around prisons, actually only restrict flights to being over 164 feet. So there are many instances and perhaps confusion where the drone operators could claim to be flying legally around a prison when in fact they do have nefarious reasons to be there. So this change will, of course, bring around a little bit of continuity, and from January, you'll be able to have some confidence that flying around a prison or young offenders institution will be something you require clearance for. Now, it is expected that these new flight restrictions will be added to ENR 5.1 and will therefore appear on airspace maps such as Altitude Angel's Drone Assist. However, we have a separate video coming on this more fully, but as per the recent advice from the CAA following a Geeksvana expose on the topic, you are strongly advised not to follow the geofencing on your manufacturer app and instead find the information from a reliable source. Although it has to be said that as these will be a 400-metre zone around the prisons, it should be fairly easy to realise that your flight will come within it and therefore seek the relevant permissions. So let's take a look at the legislation itself that will bring this into force. Okay, here we have the amendment to the air navigation order. This shows that the amendment was made on the 16th of October 2023 and will come into force on January the 25th, 2024. It reads, the Secretary of State has decided it is necessary in the public interest to restrict the flying of unmanned aircraft in areas specified in regulation for reason of security and public safety considerations associated with the location thereof prisons and young offenders institutions. And as we discussed before, it shows that these are coming into effect in England and Wales from the 25th of January 2024. Restricted airspace. These regulations apply to each of the facilities listed in the column. The document then explains that for the purpose of these regulations, it comprises an area bound by straight lines joining between each of the points in column 2 of the schedule, which actually is the grid reference zones for the prisons where they can then draw those 400-metre zones out from. And listed below on this schedule, you can see all of the facilities, the prisons and institutions that will be covered by these new flight restrictions. So that's all fairly straightforward. For his part in this, the Prisons Minister Damien Hines says, this is the latest step in the war we are winning to stop drugs, weapons and phones getting into our prisons. These virtual no-fly zones, along with our new airport-style X-ray scanners, mean we can clamp down better than ever on violence behind bars to keep both prisoners and staff safe from harm. Now, we could discuss the rights and wrongs or effectiveness of this kind of thing until the cows come home. Nobody wants to see more flight restrictions. However, going by the email inbox of Geeksvana, I can certainly vouch for the fact that this topic of flying near prisons is something which has caused a decent amount of confusion over the years. And we've had a lot of emails from people asking for clarification about what they can and can't do. So at least there will be some form of consistency. I don't think anybody would suggest that flight restrictions simply being placed around prisons will stop any criminality in itself. I don't think anybody would suggest that criminals really care about this type of legislation. However, there are two factors which we need to keep in mind here, at least in my opinion. Firstly, this will, I feel, give pause to criminals because this is going to be highly publicised and they will therefore be aware that any kind of flight in and around prisons will be automatically illegal, rather than being able to claim that they're actually there for non-nefarious reasons. Secondly, I do not think the area of 400 metres around is too much to ask for. If you are flying that close to a prison, it's probably already a good idea that they know about that flight. So I think overall, this will become something more of an enforcement tool rather than necessarily being an active deterrent to criminals. Time will tell, of course, on that one. Of course, all of us would love to see less contraband being taken into prisons along with drugs and everything else. However, perhaps the implementation of these new flight restrictions will remove drones from being the headline point and a major part of publicity, at least around drugs and how they get into prisons. The numbers of reported incidents are low, but stats do not accurately reflect the issue always. Could this mean we are going to see more counter-drone detection equipment being used around prisons? What about the trials and use within the UK of these so-called drone guns designed to take out drones through disrupting the signal between the drone and the controller? Would these new restrictions give a route to seeing that kind of technology being used in prisons to deflect nefarious drone flight? The equipment is already in use across the UK, but in the hands of specially trained military and police. Could we see counter-drone units within prisons gain the training to use and permissions to use the effector technology? Again, time will tell, but I personally would not be surprised if that was a next step. So the headline facts from this story is that from January 2024, it will be an offence similar to flying near an airport is at the moment to fly a drone within 400 metres of a prison or young offenders institution. This legal change will mean a drone operator could face a fine of up to £2,500, as well as, of course, any other related crime they might be committing whilst making the flight itself. What do you think? What are your opinions as the audience of Geeksvana? Let me know in the comments below if you think that these restrictions are justified and whether or not you think they will have any kind of impact. I'd really be interested to know your thoughts as usual, and as ever, we read every single comment that comes in. When these new flight restrictions make their way onto mapping systems, we will of course keep you fully updated. Sean out.